What's going on, guys? Scrolling with random guys today, coming at you some more Pokemon news for you guys and my friends regarding Pokemon Let's Go, a little bit of Pokemon 2019, and kind of how Pokemon Go and Let's Go are, interacting with, or going to interact with each other, and kind of the influence in Let's Go from Go, and different things like that. Lots of interesting stuff in this. So it's basically an interview that Eurogamer had with the Pokemon boss himself, Mr. Masuda. I believe I'm pronouncing that name right. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a pretty lengthy interview. There's a lot in here, so I'm not going to read every single word in this interview. I'm going to give you guys kind of like the highlights, if you will. If you guys do want to read every single word for word, I will link it down in the description below, but if you guys just want to get kind of like the highlights, this is the video for you. So they were asking, Eurogamer was asking him, can you kind of elaborate on the smartphone and Switch connectivity? How does it work? Things like that. And it's kind of like how we've seen in the trailer. So on the Switch, there's going to be a connect button in the game, and then on Pokemon Go on your smartphone, there's also going to be a connect button as well. So it's a very simple Bluetooth connection, he's saying. In terms of what you can do with the connection, right now they're not going into more detail than, basically just the fact that you can send Pokemon from Pokemon Go to Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. And he says that they don't go straight into your collection or your party. They actually enter into an area that's kind of like a safari park type of thing, which you can go see the Pokemon moving around in there, and you can actually go in there and interact with them and catch them. So I guess, it's not as simple as, switch or transferring your Pokemon from Go to Let's Go, and then all of a sudden you have all those Pokemon in your party, if you will. It's kind of it works a little bit different, but you do have the Pokemon in the game, if you want to view them. And I guess you can go in that little safari park and actually catch them if you do want to use them in Pokemon Let's Go. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. But he also says that there are some incentives to move a lot of the same Pokemon from Go, like the same species, and there are some sort of mini games that you can play if you do that. One of the other things he mentions too about the cool kind of thing that they thought of with Pokemon Go and Let's Go connectivity is, let's say you're a parent that plays Pokemon Go and you have a child that will play Pokemon Let's Go on the Switch, but obviously that child doesn't have a phone of their own. What you could do is, as a parent, you can catch some Pokemon in Pokemon Go on your phone and then give them to your kid in Let's Go, so they can have those Pokemon from Pokemon Go that you're catching out and about, if you will, and they can use those Pokemon and have them in their game on Pokemon Let's Go. So that's kind of like one of the visions they had with the transferring between Go and Let's Go. So that sounds really, really, really cool as well. So he says, similarly to the main series Pokemon games, they've created two versions. So obviously Pikachu and Eevee are the two additions to have different Pokemon that appear in both games to really facilitate trading and make people want to trade with each other, so that there is that wireless trading and that kind of gameplay around trading with others, so you can complete your Pokédex. So he was also asked, how does this fit into the series when it seems like there is such a clean break? Are there any references at all in Let's Go to other games that have come out? Do any other old characters return, etc.? He says, unfortunately, all I can say is that they're based on the Pokemon Yellow version. More details besides that are something that I hope people will look forward to. But also regarding the Pokemon Yellow version, he also says, one thing I can say is that the game world, the overworld, the whole map is very true to the original Pokemon Yellow games. And also the story kind of sticks to the story beats from Pokemon Yellow as well. One of the kind of reasons behind that was with the games being released 20 years ago, I kind of imagined that maybe some parents who played Yellow version when they were kids will now have kids of their own, and they can kind of remember that adventure and maybe give some hints or tips to their kids that are playing the game being Let's Go, of course. He says maybe some other fun things, for example, the first gym leader, Brock. A lot of kids who maybe grew up with the animated series and not the original Red and Blue series, they may not even know he was a gym leader, so there might be some fun discoveries there as well. So again, it's very heavily based off of Pokemon Yellow, which sounds super exciting, man. Another thing that he goes on to basically reiterate, if you will, is the fact that Pokemon Let's Go is kind of a middle ground, a stepping stone from Pokemon Go to the traditional Pokemon games, if you will. That kind of middle ground where, it has elements of a traditional Pokemon game, but has a lot of elements from Pokemon Go. And the reason for that is that Pokemon Go has reached 800 million downloads. So they wanted to create a fun experience for those players, but at the same time really make a game for fans that have enjoyed the RPGs up until now. It's kind of merging those two audiences into one game that they hope can all have fun and play. So again, you know, it's a great kind of way to bring everyone into that middle ground, if you will, to bring those who've gotten into Pokemon Go but don't usually play traditional Pokemon games, try to get them into more of the traditional games. Again, it's a stepping stone into the traditional games. So you know, once maybe, you know, a lot of players who only play Pokemon Go and have never played another Pokemon game in the past, maybe they'll play Pokemon Let's Go, they'll try it out because they're like, oh hey, it looks kind of similar, but it seems that there's like a story to it. You know, it seems like it's different but still similar, right? Maybe they'll look at it that way, and then once they try Pokemon Let's Go and they experience the story, they'll be more interested to try the traditional kind of core series, you know, new Pokemon game that's coming out in 2019. So again, it's, you know, that's kind of the thinking behind this game. It's kind of like that middle ground. It's kind of like that stepping stone to try to get players that are, you know, kind of casual players of Pokemon Go, don't ever play other Pokemon games, try to get them kind of, you know, into you know, traditional Pokemon games and get to experience that for themselves. So one more thing I wanted to kind of point out and highlight in this video from the interview is something I thought was very interesting. And again, it's kind of it kind of showcases that, you know, middle ground between Pokemon Go and a traditional Pokemon game. And this is what he had to say. He says, one of the things, for example, is that up until now in the tall grass, you cannot see which Pokemon were in there. So a lot of players would kind of avoid the tall grass in their journeys up until now. And one of the big changes this time is that you can actually see the Pokemon before you actually run into and encounter them. So it's kind of changed the dynamic to a much more of a proactive experience where you're going out and seeking Pokemon. I think that's pretty cool. You know, it's again, it's something that I can relate to in the traditional core Pokemon games where, you know, there's sometimes I'll just avoid tall grass because I didn't know which Pokemon were in there and I didn't want to encounter the same Pokemon I've already encountered about, you know, 500 times previously. So I can kind of relate to that, but it kind of also leaves me with a question I want to give you guys to answer in the comment section below, and that is, of course, this is for Pokemon Let's Go, that they're doing that, you know, that you can see the Pokemon before you encounter them. You know, it's not like the traditional Pokemon game where you run into tall grass and who knows what Pokemon you're going to encounter. My question to you guys, would you like to see that kind of thing move over to the traditional Pokemon games? Would you like to see that in Pokemon 2019, for example? Or do you like the randomness of running into tall grass and not knowing what kind of Pokemon you're going to encounter? I want to leave you with that question. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that in the comment section below, because I thought that was a very interesting thought. You know, in one sense, you know, I think it'd be a good idea to see which Pokemon they are. You know, so you can actually search and kind of, you know, seek out the Pokemon that you need to fill out your Pokédex, the ones that you're missing. In another sense, you know, there could be a kind of fun element to the randomness of running in the grass and not knowing what kind of Pokemon's going to appear, and having, you know, a Pokemon that you've been searching for appear. There's something thrilling about that as well. So again, what are your thoughts? What would you like to see? Would you like to see it kind of stick to the traditional sense in Pokemon 2019, or would you like to see what they're doing in Pokemon Let's Go, where you can actually see the Pokemon in the grass and you see which ones you're basically running into before you actually run into them? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to read the full interview, again, the link's going to be down in the description below. But let me know what you guys think about all of these kind of little things that I pointed out from the interview in this video. What do you think? Are you guys excited? Are you kind of skeptical still? Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe, like, comment, share, and all that awesome stuff. We're very close to 10,000 subscribers, my friends. Thank you guys so much for your continuous support. And just a quick reminder, we will be streaming Nintendo's E3 presentation, followed by Nintendo Treehouse Live. We're going to be streaming it all, kind of hanging out and stuff, reacting together. It's going to be a good time, and I'll leave links for those streams down in the description below. I've already created the events. You guys can go set a reminder on the events so when the day comes, you don't miss them. I'll catch you guys in the next one, like always. Until then, game on.